A wonderful day here in London today, and as you can see behind me, I've got one of my favourite gadgets, the water distiller. And I want to make this video to introduce you into the idea of distilling your water, because it's a phenomenal thing for your health. And I first got into this about 10 years ago when I got into raw food and nutrition, and really sort of started to think, what's the optimal way to improve my health, because I just want to feel the best I can. And water came up and a lot, and I discovered that without having very clean water, you actually can't even digest a lot of the minerals and vitamins that you might be getting from food or supplements. So you might be spending an awful lot of money on various supplements, but you might not be able to absorb them properly. Because you might have toxins in your water which are in your blood, and so I became very fascinated by water. And I live in London, so it's a big city, and the water isn't nice and it doesn't taste right, and it's really not very good at all. And after some research, because I looked into reverse osmosis and various other water filters, I thought a water distiller was the best one because it filtered everything out. Really, there's not much left. It's water vapor. What it is, it's the water cycle in a machine. So the water cycle is where the clouds, take up the water from the sea and the rivers and everything, and they hold on to that water, and then they precipitate down into the earth, and it's recondensing that water down into the earth. And that's what this does. So you put your tap water in it, and it boils the water like a kettle, and then the evaporated water goes down into the jar, and that's hot, and then you leave it and it becomes cooler. And you really want a glass jar like I've got here, nice glass jar. And then that's it. That's pure clean water. Now, one of the criticisms of distilled water is that it doesn't have any minerals in it. So what I do is I just add minerals. Now, when I get one of my favorite products is called marine phytoplankton, which you can buy in a liquid like drops, and I put that in the Vitamix. So I get my Vitamix. I've always had one of these. These are great. I love these machines. I've got about 3 of them. And I just distill. I put the water in the machine with a drop of the minerals, and I just spin it on high speed. So there's minerals back in the water. But if you don't have it, you can just get salt, organic salt, sea salt, and make sure you get a good brand, organic brand, because also salt has been found to have traces of plastic in it, because plastic is everywhere, right? Plastic is in all the water, and it's everywhere. So be careful of that. So as long as you do that, then water distiller is really your best option. Now, reverse osmosis is another good option, but what I found is that reverse osmosis doesn't get rid of a lot of viruses. And as we're in this pandemic at the moment with this COVID-19, you might want to think about cleaning your body, getting the best quality food and water into your body, and so it doesn't have viruses, and also reverse osmosis doesn't clean out things like arsenic and other chemicals. It does clean out like 99%, but then there's a few things left, and also on the very tiny levels, on the molecular levels, you've got things like the drugs that people are putting in their body, the birth control pills, the antidepressant pills, the drugs, even illegal drugs like cocaine. These have showed up in the water, in the Thames water. And they even found that the fish were actually changing sex in the Thames water because of the amount of estrogen that was in the water. So, I mean, the water's pretty toxic stuff. And don't forget the mercury as well, which is in the seawater. And this is what the fish have in their liver. It's been found in the liver. And that's why they say don't eat too much fish, because you're going to get mercury poisoning. And obviously mercury is one of the most toxic things you can put in your body. So you got to be careful. Thames water is pretty horrendous. And I know they clean it, before it comes to everyone. But you've got to think of the network of pipes that it's travelled down before it gets to your tap. And these are old pipes, hundreds of years old. copper pipes, so it's picking up copper and lead and aluminium and plastic, so by the time it gets to you, it's not clean. It's really not. And to be honest with you, I have a little story where I didn't have the water distiller for a few years. I used it every single day, like I do. I have it on every single day, and there's not a day that goes past when I don't fill it up. But I didn't have it for like 2 years, and I got really ill, and I was just had a stomach ache and a headache, and I didn't know what was wrong with me. And I was going to the gym like every day, and I was going in the sauna, and I was eating raw food, and I was eating vegan, and I was cycling. I was doing all the good things. I was doing all the right things. But I just felt this heaviness in my stomach, and I was buying bottled water from the supermarket. And then suddenly, when I moved and I got back here, I thought, you know what, I'm just going to buy my water distiller again, because maybe that's it. And as soon as I bought it, the next day, it was all gone. The headache, the stomach ache, I had this for months. It was completely gone. So nothing can give me more faith than the water distiller. It really is the cleanest water you can get. I mean, if you live in a nice clean area out in the middle of nowhere with, you know, and you've got water from a well or a natural stream, and you've tested it with TDS meter, and you know you're pretty sure that it hasn't got runoffs from like farms and agricultural pollution and pesticides, then that might be a bit better. But if you live in a city, then this is your best bet. And another thing to remember is that this is not expensive. These are under £200. Now, if you buy bottled water, say you spend £10 a week on bottled water, that's nothing, right? So, say you spend about £50 a month, say, probably. So you've paid for this in 4 months, you know. And the thing is, it tastes great. You know, the filters go in here, and you change them, and there's a little coconut shell filter thing, and it makes the water taste great. So it's much more tasty than the bottled water and the tap water as well, and it's much cleaner. You're talking about the most efficient way to reduce chemicals. The only thing that's left is the things that that survive the boiling of the water, that end up in the water vapor, right? And that's not a lot, right? With heavy metals and things like that. In fact, I don't actually know what can survive that. There might be some things, but I wouldn't worry about it. You know, the most important thing is that you get rid of the mercury, the lead, you know, estrogen, you know, things like drugs, you know, cocaine. There's cocaine in the tap water. You know that's cocaine. Don't get too excited. Literally, there's not a lot, but it's not worth it, honestly. So it's very cost effective. You could pay for it in just 4 months. And reverse osmosis filters are not cheap, you know. The filters cost a lot of money. So take that into account. And also you've got all those filters to change as well. So this is my best bet. And my favourite little tip as well is that it heats your house up. So if it gets cold in the winter where you live, you put this on in the day, and it's warm air coming out of there. So that heats your house up, heats your kitchen up, wherever you put it. So you've got free heating as well. So although you do have to leave it on for 4 hours to get your 4 litres of distilled water, but you know, kills 2 birds with 1 stone. So that's all I've got today. I just really wanted to make this video about water. Water is the most precious thing that we have, and life originated from water. You know, ultimately human beings evolved, but the sea life was the first type of mammal on the planet, and that's why it's so important. Your body's 70% water, your brain is more water. We're more water than solid. Think about it. We're more water than solid. How crazy is it? But it's all on a secret, you know, on a sort of quantum level. So, you know, it doesn't seem like that with your physical eyes, but that's the truth. More water. So how important is water? It's bloody important. It's the most important thing. It's more important than food. When you get one of these, you're going to see the difference. Believe me, you're really going to see the difference in your health. Believe me, trust me, and especially if you do sport and you're pushing your body to extremes, you're really going to notice the difference with distilled water. But make sure you remineralize the water, because otherwise it's going to demineralize your body. It's going to take nutrients and minerals out of your body. Could even take it out of your bones. So you want to avoid that. Make sure you put the water, or you put the minerals, or you put the sea salt back in, and then you whiz it up in a Vitamix or a powerful blender. Only a speck. You only need a speck when you do it. You don't need a lot. And that's it. That's the secret to longevity. So my name's Justin. I'm the Raw Food Dude. I'll see you on the next video. Peace.